The Anti-Red Tape Authority has ruled that the Land Transportation Office violated the Ease of Doing Business law after a Zoom hearing found that requiring an ORCR to settle a traffic violation is not part of the agency's official requirements under its Citizens Charter. Let's discuss that and more with motoring expert James Deakin. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Morning Matters.
Morning.
James.
Hi, Gretchen.
Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you again.
Regardless of who is at fault here, whether it's your son or the LTO, I'm sorry to hear about what happened. No parent wants that ever to happen to his own son. But the LTO has already responded to your social media post via press conference, a lengthy one yesterday, where they said that driving a car that is not registered is considered to be classified under reckless driving. That's, they say, under Joint Administrative Order 2401. Your response to the LTO statement?
Well, I was today years old when I found that out too. So this is not our car, right? So this is one of these media vehicles that they lend you to shoot your content. I just finished shooting content for that car, and my son drove it. My question is, I've contacted BYD as well. They've contacted BYD because I'm not the owner of the car, so I don't have the papers of that car. So they've contacted them. I've asked them for the same from BYD. My question here, Gretchen, is if it was unregistered, why was it not listed on the ticket? Why was it not picked up on the apprehension? Why did we go through the whole East Avenue process and it was never detected or picked up or suggested or mentioned? We have settled the fine. Everything has been done. It's already a closed case. And then we find out through a press con that that my son was reckless, and the CCTV showing there the traffic buildup, and then the unregistered part. So it's just as big a surprise for me. And I had asked ASEC for this footage. I had asked the LTO if I could see this footage because I didn't know. I just wanted clarification on what exactly constitutes reckless driving. That was my question. What constitutes it? Because a lot of people also complain to me that this is used incorrectly, and many times it's used as a coercion tactic to be able to settle your violation or avoid the penalties.
Do you remember at what speed your son was going when he tried to get in that lane? Can you narrate to us the sequence of events that happened here? Para lang mas clear, no? Kasi yung details are all coming from the LTO. So from your point of view, what happened?
Correct. I wasn't in the car, Gretchen. I have to be clear about that. I wasn't with my son. He was driving alone. And when he called me, he told me that this was bumper-to-bumper traffic, which you can see in the still that he showed. It's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Christmas rush. So that was about, I don't know what time, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, right? December 19 or 18 or something like that. You can imagine, you can see the cars. So there's no speed involved in this, which is why I was confused. Why would you call that reckless driving? Nobody is denying that he made a mistake and there's a violation. That was said from the beginning and accepted, and the ticket was accepted. The question was, why? What does constitute reckless driving? I just need a clarification on that because this is a sticking point for a lot of motorists. Just crossing a double yellow line, in my understanding of reckless driving, according to RA 4136, is not reckless because it requires you to show wanton disregard for public safety and endanger the lives of others. I don't see how you can endanger the life of others if you are doing a 1 or 2 or 3 kilometer, what looks like a crawl over here, trying to get in. It is a violation, but is it reckless? That was my question. And instead of answering the person that asked for it, they held a press conference about it.
You're right. No, I was looking at the law, no? RA 4136. The definition of reckless driving here says that it refers to the act of operating a motor vehicle dangerously, which puts at risk the safety of persons, both motorists and pedestrians. It does say that part nun, pwede kang mag-cause ng excessive or unreasonable damage to the highway. The other one is when you endanger the property or the safety or rights of any person. Well, in relation to that, ang sinabi ng LTO is, kita mo naman sa likod, no? Dangerous maneuver yung ginawa ng anak ninyo going into that lane kasi maraming naipit sa likod and anything could have happened.
Anything could have happened at 3 kilometers an hour. I mean, that's what my question is do you leave this to the discretion of the officer? Because anyone that sees that will see that as obstruction of traffic. And like I said, nobody's trying to say that he wasn't committing a violation. He admitted as much. That was from the get-go. He said, I'm a new driver. I've never been to this part of the Skyway before. It's a little confusing. When I realized my exit, I came out too late. Why did we get just stills like this, which are so grainy and blurry? I don't even know. I can't even tell what kind of car that is. And I'm a car guy. It's just very, very grainy and blurry and far. And obviously, if you're not going to show the video, we're not going to see the speed. And again, I would be willing to accept it if I just got the explanation. I wasn't contesting it. And I made it clear, I'm not contesting this. The fine has been paid already. It's already done. So I don't know why.
Which part of it are you not contesting?
None of it. None of it. If it's reckless driving, it's reckless driving. I just wanted to know clarification. I said, because this is a question I also get asked. Number one, it doesn't fall under a criminal offense because when you Google it, it does say it's a criminal offense. Now, when you go deeper, you'll find out that it needs to be reckless imprudence, resulting in either damage to property or injury or homicide for it to become criminal. But you don't know that on for the 2 weeks in the Christmas break where your son's stressing out whether he's going to have a criminal record or not. So I just wanted clarification, and I contacted ASEC on December 20, 2 days after, just to ask for a little guidance here and a little clarification. He didn't want to talk to me about it. He just said, go to the LTO and sort it out there. So I did that, and I hit several walls there. And then I didn't bother contesting it anymore because we missed the 5-day period, and I couldn't get access to the CCTV. So I just left it at that. So you can imagine my surprise where the day or two later, he's holding a press con and he's showing the entire country this footage that I had asked for. I would imagine that due process would be the person who's requesting for it, the person who's actually got the violation should have the right to see their own evidence before the rest of the world, don't you think?
Was it not on the ticket that it was reckless driving that was being charged against your son?
That's why I was concerned. He ticked double yellow line, or he wrote double yellow. And then he ticked reckless driving. So that's why I wanted to clarify. Is it both? I thought a double yellow line is in itself a violation. It's disregarding traffic markings. Why would you automatically escalate that to dangerous driving? Once again, I just want to be clear. If I had seen the video and it was explained to me that this constitutes reckless driving, whether or not I agree, if that's what they constitute as reckless driving, I accepted it. So, this is what frustrates me here, is he was asked a question about the ease of doing business, and he went and he answered a different.
We're getting James a little bit choppy on that line. We'll try to fix the connection and have him back on the show. James, how's your connection?
Sorry about that.
Okay, balik natin doon sa topic natin. Okay, regarding the reckless driving violation that was imputed on your son. So this was on the ticket, but you had not contested this within the 5 days through official channels. How come that didn't happen?
I just couldn't get down. We couldn't get down there within the 5-day window, and that's why I contacted ASEC and I contacted a couple of other people I knew to ask for clarification because I just knew we couldn't make it within the 5 days. So I told my son, be prepared to accept it. At the end of the day, you do know that you did something wrong. You crossed the double yellow line. Are you aware of that? He said yes. Okay, so then there's no question here that you have to take whatever the penalty is. As a father, as a motoring journalist, I just want to make sure it's applied correctly. That's all. And that's my right. That's his right too. You get a right to ask about what constitutes reckless driving. So by asking, I was asking for exactly this. But instead of showing me, he shows the entire country. He goes on national television first. and tells everybody else. I just think that's a violation of due process. At least that's what it feels like on our part. So we're not contesting it. We haven't contested it. It's a sealed and done issue. The ticket was already paid. So I don't know why he's bringing it up if it's only not to deflect from the real issue, which is the ease of doing business and some of these strange requirements they have at the LTO, like they will hold you to the calendar days, but yet they'll hold themselves to working days when it's commitments to you. So if you do anything that requires, let's say, the LTO to produce a transfer of sale or something, they can go by working days. That's clear. But for us, it includes holidays. So I just wanted a clarification for that. And instead, what we got was this press con.
With James, hindi ba meron website where these violations are logged into, yung myhulika.com? Did you not get the chance to do it electronically?
He tried. It wasn't listed on the portal. My son had tried going online to do this online, and there was nothing on the LTMS portal. He had checked
And
it before Christmas. So then when we came
and
back,
what day did
then that's when we
this
went to the
happen?
LTO.
What day did this happen?
This happened around I think the 18th of December.
19th?
18th, I think. 18th or
18th,
19th,
okay.
I'm not sure.
And there wasn't office anymore right after that?
There were a few days after that, but we weren't available to make it. So that's why we went.
Ah.
So I told him, look, if you miss the window of contention, you got to miss it. That's all it is. But that doesn't mean you still can't ask clarification. You're not contesting. You're just asking a question to the authority. What constitutes reckless driving? Because in RA 4136, there's a very clear definition. If there's an administrative interpretation of that, I need to know what that is because it just feels like it's unfairly applied. And these words matter, Gretchen, especially when it comes down to your record. So I just wanted to know. And look, by all means, if he is guilty of that, he should pay the penalty, which he did. So I don't understand why this is becoming an issue if it's not just to deflect.
Well, the public is with you on finding out the truth to that because I don't think it's uncommon to see people cross that two yellow lane or two lines going to the highway's exit, no? Lalo na kung hindi ka masyadong familiar with Skyway, you're prone to doing that, and so we are with you on that. But the formal way to actually get clarification on this is to bring this to what I know is to be a traffic court within the LTO. Do you have any plans of formally raising that up? Even if you say you're not contesting that there was a violation, would you contest that charge formally in the traffic court within the LTO?
If there's still an opportunity to do that, I would love to. I just didn't want to pull any favors or get any special treatment because if there's a
Okay.
5-day window, that's the 5-day window. I don't expect to be treated like anybody else. So that's why we just paid the fine. I paid it begrudgingly. Well, my son paid it, but we paid it begrudgingly. But it's an offense. It needs to be fixed up. And I just wanted clarification, even if it's not contestation. I just want clarification because as a motoring journalist, this is a very common question I get asked, and I never get an answer to it. It's always very vague. Basta reckless lang yan. But the thing with reckless is it does increase the penalty and it does go on your record. And it's just, I guess words matter because you're devaluating or you're devaluing reckless driving. What do you call reckless driving when it really is reckless driving? When just crossing a double yellow even at that speed is considered reckless driving. I mean, who gets to interpret these rules? That's all I'm asking.
Okay, you had a meeting with the Anti-Red Tape Authority yesterday. What did they tell you? What were their findings? And how can the public avail, I guess, of their services? Because I do believe that they've stepped in a couple of times, even with license plate issues. Ano yung sinabi ng ARTA po sa inyo yesterday?
They were very, very good. I got to give them full props here, Gretchen. I was so impressed because I had already the way I was feeling, had lost a lot of faith. So to be able to see that kind of commitment from a government agency to make sure that the ease of business, doing business law is enforced, What they did was they just clearly boiled it down to one question. They couldn't get, they're not involved in the reckless driving part, of course. I didn't expect them to. And nor do they have any say in the 15-day period. What they were very concerned about was, why were you asking for documents that were not in the citizens charter? It was a direct question to the attorney of the LTO. Is it in the citizens charter that this document, this ORCR, is required to settle a traffic violation? He tried to explain it many times, and it was just yes or no, and it was a no. So he said it's very clear. That is a violation of the ease of doing business law. So the ARTA were quite clear. They haven't come up with their official ruling yet. That was a hearing. And when they do, they'll let me know, and they'll let the LTO know as well. But that's what they indicated to us, that it's a very clear violation because it's not in the citizens charter.
Okay, did the police officer ask for the ORCR on the road when your son was apprehended?
I wasn't in the car again, Gretchen, so I don't know. All I know is that he did fill out the ticket, and he did give him the ticket, and we went to the LTO with that ticket, and we settled the fine with that ticket, and everything was done, except we couldn't get the license because he had exceeded the 15 days. So, like I said, this is the first time I had heard of this whole unregistered thing. And yet we're waiting for the BYD to come up with or tell us or tell the LTO what happened with the papers of that car, because it has conduction sticker. It has a vehicle sales invoice. It has a temporary plate on it. That's all I'm going by. As I said, I don't own the car. I'm just using it for a content purposes. And this is what they're designed for. They lend out vehicles.
But I think
yeah.
But I think that's an important detail there. If the police officer had asked for the ORCR right there and then it would somehow justify what the LTO chief was saying. Na they are charging your son with reckless driving because of the lack of registration of the car. Then that would make or that would line up more, because it wasn't after the fact. If hiningi yung ORCR during the situation.
Yes, well, as I said, I wasn't there, so I can't answer that. And if there wasn't, if it's procedure, because I did ask the LTO that during the ARTA meeting, I said, if it's a question of like having no ORCR in the car, what is the penalty for that? And he couldn't answer, because I was saying, what I was getting at was, what would happen if there's no ORCR in the car, and why didn't that happen? Like, it's my son's first time to ever be pulled over. He's only had his license for a few months. So he does not know these procedures. So I'm trying to teach him the proper procedures and the laws, and I can't seem to get a clear answer. So that's why these things matter. And I asked, what would happen if he didn't have the ORCR in the car? And why didn't that happen? So it means that there was a failure on the part of the officer to follow procedure? I don't know. Because he wrote the ticket and it was all done. It went through the LTO process. It was all done. The fine was paid. The case was closed. And the only thing pending right now was the license to be picked up because he had exceeded the 15 days. So to throw this reckless driving, an extra reckless driving charge for not having an ORCR in the car, it just feels, again, like deflection. And it feels like it is not being, it's not very sincere. It is just trying to get away from the real issues here.
Well, as a driver myself, I understand your frustration with bureaucratic red tape, and I do know you're a strong advocate of making things better on the road. So just taking a look at the whole situation here and the learnings from this incident, how far do you want this advocacy to go on your end? What changes would you like to see? And what did ARTA tell you about what is possible in terms of changing the process realistically for this to apply to everybody else moving forward, to at least make things better? Did the LTO have that posturing with you? Now, we want to make things better at least.
Well, I'll start with what would I like to happen. I would like to get clarification. I would like it to be very clear what exactly reckless driving is, so that not just for myself, but for everybody that has that same question, that changes lane and then just gets a reckless driving charge. Does speed not come into the factor? Does endangerment not come into it? What are you basing this on? I would love to see a reform where one idea that was thrown to me by a friend was really good. I think that the enforcers should also have a point system. Just like licenses should have a point system, and you get deducted points when you commit violations, and if you run out of points, you have your license suspended. The same should apply for an officer. They should get points, and if there is a problem with them applying the law incorrectly, they should lose points also. So that if they are repeat offenders, we get rid of them. Because this is where people get a lot of frustration from. When you get a reckless driving charge, people will do a lot to be able to skirt that because it is a lot of hassle, as we know. And that creates a path of least resistance. And that path of least resistance ends up with the people we don't want to be handling our affairs, right? Which are fixers. So that's what I would like to see happen there. On the side of ARTA, I think they would just like to see the law being enforced. That's it, or followed, because there is already a law about unnecessary paperwork. So we don't need any new laws there. We just need them to follow the ones that have been given to them. And then lastly, I just want people to know that regardless of this experience, please, we only get better as a society if we all follow the rules. So please don't get discouraged by this. Even if sometimes the system lets you down, still, it's very important for you to follow the rules. Otherwise, we'll just live in anarchy.
And well, you started your post with that you wanted your son to learn how to follow the law, and that was the goal, no? Pero on the other side of things, so what were your personal learnings? I mean, taking a car as a motoring expert, reviewing it from BYD na walang tamang papeles. At the same time, I guess your learnings about going through the process. Would you admit there were also some lapses on your part about following the process for contesting this charge? Talking about, sabi kasi ng LTO, yung 15 days were described as calendar days, not working days, right? So do you admit to having some lapses there?
You know, obviously in hindsight, we can always improve on anything, right? And obviously in hindsight, I could have gone on the days that were open, but then you do give people 15 days. So you have all of those days to use it. It was just a miscommunication on the part of the LTO on what are calendar days and what are working days. And I think it's a very fair point that you cannot have a double standard where when it comes to the responsibility of LTO to deliver to us, you go by working days. But when it is us having to deliver to you, it is calendar days. That is clearly a double standard. And that I think should be corrected. So some of the learnings I have here is, well, yes, settle your fines as quickly as possible. Don't wait till the last minute. But in my case, there was 8 or 9 days out of the 15 that were closed. So I didn't see that coming. I didn't realize that those days were included as well. Always carry your ORCR in your car or even a digital copy of it, just to make sure. If you're borrowing a car, also just make sure that the car does have its papers in the car or you have it in your phone. And yes, just be a little bit more diligent. And of course, with my son, just because you missed an exit, and you're a new driver, that doesn't mean you can cross the double yellow line. Take the next exit. It's going to be a bit of a hassle, but that's the only way to do it. So those are my learnings, and I hope a lot of people get the same thing. But I hope the LTO have also learned from this that they cannot just be using this reckless driving rule so indiscriminately because it devalues it. And then we have real cases where reckless driving should count, but it'll mean nothing if it means anything becomes a reckless driving charge.
Well, James, we do hope that we get to the bottom of this, so that you get a hold of a copy of that video for us to get down to the truth. And as you mentioned a while ago, your intent here was to follow the law. I guess it's the same with many other Filipinos. Just don't make it hard to follow the law, right?
That's all it is, trick question. Just don't make it harder to go down the correct path and the path of least resistance. That's all we're asking for here. Just rewire the incentive structure, okay? Because right now the incentive reward loop is towards the favor of the fixers, and we don't get anywhere like that. So I want to make that clear to everyone. Do not use the fixers. Do not try to take shortcuts. This is what I tried not to do. This thing could have been over so simply if I had just used contacts in the LTO. But what would that teach my son? So in a way, as difficult as this is, I don't mind that he has to go through this because, well, it just shows. I mean, we've learned a lot from this. I think not just us, but the entire country have learned a lot from this.
Well, I do hope to see some institutional changes happen. That would be the best case scenario. And I hope that your son is not traumatized by all of this. In the meantime, maraming salamat no, for joining us this morning and breaking that down for us. Your son isn't traumatized naman, ano?
Well, I hope not. He seems okay naman. But
Okay.
I think it was unfair what they did. But yeah, he's okay. He'll be okay. He knows naman that, Gretchen, he didn't do what he did, he said from the beginning. So it's not like he tried to hide from something. So that makes him feel okay. Is that he was truthful from the very beginning. I made a mistake. I wanted to follow the process like my dad told me. And this is where it got me. So had he said, Dad, I never did that, and then the CCTV comes and shows something different, then I think he would be very traumatized. And so would I. So would I. But no, it's what he said happened was what was showed on the CCTV. Nothing that he said was all the truth.
Okay.
So people make mistakes, and I think that it's also how these mistakes are handled that you should be judged on instead.
We hope this ends up well for you. Maraming salamat for joining us this morning. We have James Deakin sharing his personal experience with his son out on the roads.